and it's gonna be part of a lot of comedy and a lot of funny comebacks and fights happening. Basically, this is what if Deku was on Black Air Force One's activity, meaning that Deku is just going to be built different. So Deku was basically going to be having that Omni-Man mentality, or like something like you know, hood type of mentality. I can say that because I'm black and I'm from the hood, but basically, um, Deku, actually, I'm not even from the hood, but whatever. So basically, Deku will be built different. Now, basically, Deku's going to be quirkless, and I may give Deku one for all, don't know yet. But yeah, so basically, Deku's going to be, built different. He's just going to be built different. Now, basically, Deku will have, you know, a mentality, but also be pretty, intelligent, but also pretty gifted as well. The deck is born quirkless, just like in canon, but grows up a little bit different. Now, basically, when Deku hears that he's quirkless, something snaps in Deku's body. Deku basically loses it, and Deku turns into a different person. Basically, what happens, Deku turns into a different person, basically, you know, being different and not taking any, you know, problems. Deku changes to a point where he doesn't even play at this point and doesn't like when people, make fun of his parents, him, or anybody else that he likes or looks out for. So, basically, when Bakugo bullies Deku after everybody finds out, or after Deku tells everybody he's quirkless, Bakugo tries to starts bullying Deku basically, and Deku shuts that down immediately. Deku basically started getting bullied by Bakugo, and Bakugo starts bullying Deku, saying that you're quirkless. When Deku jumps in to stop Bakugo when Bakugo's about to beat up that kid, Deku says, "Stop right now, blonde-haired freak," and basically Bakugo gets super angry at this, and pretty much says, "What do you call me?" And Deku said, "Come on here, you blonde chihuahua." Basically, Bakugo gets super angry at this and runs towards Deku without even telling his goons that to back him up. Basically, Bakugo is rushing straight towards Deku. Deku basically socking Bakugo straight in the face. Bakugo is still a kid, and Deku does have more training than Bakugo. Basically, what happened is Deku actually trained himself in boxing because Deku's father was actually a pretty good boxer in his old days. So Deku's father teach Deku a little something something because he was quirkless, and he wanted to make sure Deku could semi-defend himself in a real fight. So basically, Deku could box on like a professional level, and also Deku did learn a little bit of karate from his uncle. So Deku knew karate and boxing and actually merged that into one fighting style. So Deku started to, should have followed everybody, including the two lackeys, and basically started to pummel Bakugo into the ground after Bakugo was already knocked out. But, the kid says to stop Bakugo, to stop Deku, he's done. Basically, Deku getting back up and saying, "Is he?" And basically Deku having that ominous yandere type of crazy look that anime, artists give the character or the female. Basically Deku having that crazy look in his eyes. And having that, kind of, I'm going to beat you type of look if you don't get away. So basically the kid looks at Deku like 1 second and pretty much sprints off. Tripping a little bit, but still sprinting off. Deku walks off when, Bakugo and his lackeys are knocked out, and Deku's mom, gets a call from, what was it? I think it was, Bakugo. I don't know Bakugo's mom's name. I don't know her name. It's, I think it's, Baki, no. I don't know, Bakugo's mom basically calls Inko, and Inko, pretty much says, "Deku, is it true that you beat up Bakugo? Kacha, I mean?" And basically Deku says, "Yeah, because he was bullying me." Now, when I say Deku, I mean Midoriya, but still, let's get back to the story. Basically, Deku says, "Yeah, he was bullying a kid, I stepped in and then he started trying to bully me. So, I beat him up. I already have training, and he was pretty easy to beat even with a quirk." So basically, you know, Inko pretty much scolds Deku, and Deku just taking it, pretty much not trying to get on his mom's bad side. But Deku having that small thought in his head to actually try to put his hands on his mom. But Deku doesn't do that because don't do it. Like, don't don't put your hands on your mom. Like, bro, you disgusting. You disgusting. You're dirt if you touch your mom, if you beat your mom, or if you put your hands on your mom after your mom tries to discipline you. So yeah, basically, Yo doesn't really do anything. She just pretty much just, scolds Deku and takes away his phone. I know it takes away, what was it, his stuff. Because Deku at this point was about like six or something. So they just Inko just took away some of the toys Deku liked and Deku's limited edition All Might figure, or whatever. So basically, Deku, you know, it was Deku basically. We skip about we skip about when Deku's about, let's say, 13. At this point, Deku's learned a lot more about boxing, because Deku's already boxing at a pretty good level. Even at the age of 6, Deku could box professionally, and he used karate at a yellow belt level. So Deku was at a black belt level. I don't know if a yellow belt's higher, but if it's not, I'm just gonna say Deku's on a black belt level of skill in karate. Deku also knows, um, oh, is it, Ninjutsu, and Deku also learned how to sword fight. Also learned how to use, what was it, multiple type of weapons or close range weapons like nunchucks, katanas, swords, also knives, and pretty much mastered all those weapons I just, explained. Deku knowing how to use a nunchucks at the same level of Michelangelo. Michelangelo's a master of the nunchucks, so yeah. So basically, Deku learns how to use nunchucks, and Deku mainly uses nunchucks more than a sword or a katana. He just does know how to use katana or a sword at a professional, like, master level, but Deku prefers the nunchucks because it's not lethal, but also it hurts a lot, though. So, Deku does keep a nunchucks on him that are, like, in a black middle nunchucks. I mean, like, straight up steel nunchucks that would straight up break your bones if Deku hit you hard enough. Now, Deku was already physically fit to a point of, like, straight up jacked. He wasn't, like, super bulky, but Deku basically had the same body as when he got One for All, when he trained with All Might. Basically just having a more perfected body. Now, Deku basically stays quirkless, but also determines himself to become the first quirkless hero. And his mom does, support Deku in this, because Deku has shown himself to go up against quirk people and come out on top. Now, basically, not a lot of people bully Deku, and some of the girls actually do get a crush on Deku, because Deku is one of the few quirkless people in their school that actually knows how to defend themselves and fight against people with quirks and actually win. So Deku's beat about, let's say, 15 quirk people that tried to bully him, and pretty much came out on top. Bakugo got stronger, but actually did beat up Deku one day, and after that, Bakugo, kept on bullying Deku. Deku fought back, and it was like a whole entire thing. Deku fought, Deku won sometimes, Deku lost sometimes. It was back and forth. And basically, at one point, the teachers were all talked about how if Deku and Bakugo were in the same class, keep them far apart in the classroom. So basically, Bakugo and Deku were pretty much separated in their class, in their school, that we get introduced in at the present time of UA, or the present time of My Hero Academia when it starts. So basically, Deku being in the back of the class and Bakugo being in the front of the class. So Deku, is basically pretty popular because he's one of the few, one of the few strongest quirkless person or quirkless people in the school. Now, basically, we skip to about a couple years later, and Deku's about 15, and no, Deku's about 16, and Bakugo is at his canon age, and basically, you know, the the whole entire what you call it, basically, Deku gets ready for, UA and gets straight up pumped for UA. So basically, Deku signs up for UA just like in canon. Bakugo taunts Deku saying that you better not sign up for UA in the hallway when Bakugo confronts Deku and says, better not sign up for UA, Deku basically starts fighting Bakugo. And basically, Deku doesn't hold back at all, because at this point, Deku was at a lot more skillful level. Now let me name out the thing. Deku was still at a professional, like straight up mastery, and like straight up what was it? Like pretty much mastery of boxing, mastery of ninjutsu and karate, and also was a master in all fighting styles involving what was it? Nunchucks, katanas, knives, or throwing knives, or any type of gadget ninja based. Deku knew how to. Deku basically like knew and mastered every single ninja weapon of in pretty much known to mankind. Basically, being able to master any type of Japanese or any type of ninja weapon. Basically, Deku knowing how to use any ninja weapon. Deku also basically, what was it? Deku also had braces on his fist that basically brass on his fist that were in black steel. So yeah, and they were like spiked. So Deku kept those on him, but Deku normally kept a nunchucks, like what was it, foam or like wooden nunchucks, and actually did get a permission to bring him to school because they thought Deku might need them because the kids here try to bully him and they have quirks so they could possibly kill Deku or hurt him to a point of putting him in critical condition. So they let Deku bring wooden nunchucks to school, but not the steel, black ones. But Deku does sneak in the still black ones. And basically, Deku takes out his, wooden and steel nunchucks and basically tells Bakugo to back up before I have to fold you again like we did when we were younger. Basically, Bakugo's saying, I'm not a little kid anymore and I have more training than you think. Deku's saying, I have more skill than you think. Now, they're about to fight and go all out, but the teachers stop them, and basically Deku and them get scolded and get sent back home. Deku is walking down the sludge villain tunnel and basically gets basically sees a sludge villain coming towards him. Deku dodges it because Deku has, a lot more of a physically fit body, and also he has more of a perfected body that he had after the 10-month art training with All Might. Basically dodging out of the way of the sludge villain pretty easily. Basically the sludge villain trying to attack Deku and Deku just running away or like jumping out of the way. Eventually All Might shows up and Deku's like out of breath. And at this point Deku was already in the sludge villain, basically out of breath because he did dodge for about, let's say, a good 15 minutes. So All Might shows up, saves Deku just like in canon. Deku what was it? Deku also gets an autograph from All Might. Basically, Deku actually, what was it? Grabbing on to All Might, asking All Might could, he become a hero without a quirk. And instead of All Might responding like he did in canon, All Might did have a couple extra time to get away, and he didn't, de-skeletonise or like turn into a skeleton, like his weak form, Small Might. Basically, him saying, no, you can't, kid. You're quirkless. Being quirkless is basically being powerless. Basically, All Might going on about how he can't be a pro hero, and also All Might even going as so far to laugh in Deku's face, being a total jerk. Deku basically holding back his anger, not trying to hit All Might because normally Deku would totally get dominated by All Might because, he's quirkless. Basically, All Might, says, I gotta get out of here, kid. See you later. And basically, All Might jumps off. Now, in this, what was it? Universe, in this timeline, All Might did not drop the sludge villain canisters, and the sludge villain never got out or never got away and attacked Bakugo. So Deku goes back home, basically trained over the 10-month art train harder than he's ever done before. Basically, Deku's pushing his body to the limits, Deku throwing up a few times and also coughing some blood, Deku pushing the human body as far as it possibly can go without a quirk. Deku basically pushing his body to the maximum. Deku pushes his pretty much limits, basically him learning a bunch of other techniques and learning a lot about, ninja culture, because Deku was obsessed with boxing and ninja culture. So Deku basically also after the 10-month art training, all over the 10-month art training, Deku actually did actually try to do some singing career because Deku did sing in his meantime, and Deku's mom did actually tell Deku he could probably become a rapper or a singer if he wasn't going to become a hero or he didn't want to become a hero. So Deku actually did do a side gig of singing and got some money to buy this whole entire outfit. Deku hated All Might now, but he still liked his merch because it looked fly. Basically, Deku wearing this every time he trained. And basically, Deku washing it every day because, he sweated a lot when he, pushed his body to the maximum. So Deku learned a bunch of ninja techniques. Deku learned how to completely control his body, as in, knowing how to sleep on a nail bed, or learning how to basically do that, what was it, that concrete ninja punch thing? I don't know what that's called, though. The monk training, basically being able to punch through concrete, and I don't know what that is. I don't know what it's called. Deku's learned how to punch through basically, straight up concrete. So Deku is pretty trained in basically all forms of martial arts and boxing. Deku knowing every fighting style known to man, actually. Deku trying to give him a edge on quirks, off of people with quirks. Deku also being the top physical peak of a human at his age. Deku being able to go up against a normal average person and totally dominate them in a matter of seconds. Deku being able to actually go up against a quirk person and actually come out on top. Basically, Deku was pretty OP in human terms, without a quirk terms. Deku is pretty strong. So Deku can basically do a lot of things ninja based and karate or boxing based. Because Deku, let's just put it in short terms, Deku knows every martial arts, Deku knows every boxing skill, and Deku knows how to use any ninja weapon, including the, what was it, the Sai. So yeah, so Deku knows how to use every ninja weapon, knows how to use every martial arts known to man in Japan culture, and also knows how to use any boxing skill. And Deku also basically is good, a really good singer, so he gets a side gig and wins about $200 a week. So Deku has a bunch of outfits that are straight up fire. Straight up fire. So yeah, so basically, Deku goes to UA, and the next day Deku goes to UA and walks into class 1A. So Deku goes into UA. Oh, was it sorry guys? Deku goes into UA because I'm unscripted this. I'm unscripting this, guys. Deku goes to UA for the entrance exam. So basically, Deku is fully trained and fully ready for this. And Deku also, you know, is on that Black Air Force One's activity. So Deku goes to the entrance exams and bumps into Ochaku, but also spits a little bit of game towards Ochaku's way, basically making Ochaku blush a little bit. So Deku, tries to get her number, but Ochaku says we gotta get to, the entrance exams. So Deku, walks to the gate, and basically gets the whole entire input about the robots from Mr. 13 or President Mike, whatever his name, President Mike, yeah. So basically, Deku tries to walk over to Ochaku to try to get her number again, but gets stopped by Ida. And before Ida can say anything, and I mean anything, Deku straight up folds Ida right there and then. Straight up grabs Ida from the collar and throws him up into the air and throws Ida back down to the ground, knocking the absolute, like literally the soul out of Ida. Ida basically coughs up just a little bit of blood, basically saying, what was that for? Basically, Deku saying, I don't like people touching me without my permission. Basically, Deku looking at Ida like he's about to kill him. But the, race or the entrance exam starts and Deku basically sprints off. Now, Deku was given the permission to, to use his weapons. Now, at this point, that people in the the course actually knew Deku was quirkless because Deku did register as being quirkless. And President Mike was actually kind of rooting for Deku just a little bit because he wanted to see if a quirkless person can actually become a hero. So Deku goes to, runs and passes through a couple robots. Deku comes upon his first one-puncher robot and basically takes out, two of, two steel nunchucks and basically runs over to the robot, basically hitting it multiple times in multiple weakened areas of the robot and the gears and all sorts of other stuff. But it's not really doing anything but other than, damaging the middle and making the robot move a little bit slower. Deku puts the nunchucks away, basically Deku wearing this outfit with pretty much pouches around the jacket where he can put his weapons at. Deku takes down two takes out two shurikens and throws them into the opening parts of the gears, basically making them cut the wires and the tubes, basically the robot losing power and shutting off. Deku using this tactic again and again for about 13 one-pointers. Deku goes on to 2-pointers and also the other robots, taking them out the same way, but also Deku using I think it was a portable bow staff, basically sticking it into the robot's gears, pretty much crushing the tubes, making them power off like the shurikens were. So Deku pretty much runs around, taking out multiple, robots left and right. Deku basically going back and forth, and eventually coming across a zero-pointer robot. Deku's about to run off, but he sees Ochaku before he can run off under some rubble before she can scream. So Deku runs over to Ochaku right she's about to scream for help, and Deku grabs Ochaku from the rubble, trying to use his hardest to get the rubble off of Ochaku, but the zero-pointer about to, pretty much, what was it? I think it was straight up about to step on them. Basically, Deku, pretty much taking all of his strength and all of his willpower to push the rubber off enough so Ochaku can get under from the rubble, and Deku grabbing Ochaku, sprinting as fast as he can, getting out there like a second. Like if Deku was a second late, they would both die. Basically, they get away easily. No, not easily, very hardly, and Deku gets away. Basically, Deku's out of breath. I mean, like straight up out of breath because that was the fastest Deku's ever run in his whole entire life. And Deku can run as fast as Usain Bolt, basically. Basically, Deku did train his body to the maximum, meaning that Deku did train his body to run as fast as a human can go. Basically, Deku being able to run about the same speed as Usain Bolt, but about, let's say, 2% slower. So yeah, so basically, Deku can run near as fast as Usain Bolt. So Deku ran out there, pretty fast, getting Ochaku out of trouble, and pretty much Deku walking to the pretty much recovery girl office, basically, pretty much leaving Ochaku there, and pretty much the match being over by the time Deku gets there. The match is over, and Deku gets enough points to actually get into UA. Deku, goes home, gets a note from UA that he got in. All Might pretty much looks at Deku's things and says, "You're quirkless. You're the quirkless kid I talked to. But also, you are the first quirkless person to get into UA. You should be congratulated, young man. You did the impossible." Basically, Deku being granted his score, Deku getting the minimum amount of points, getting able to get into UA. So Deku goes to UA the next day. Basically, Deku, before he going to UA the next day, getting a whole entire party ready by his parents. Basically, Deku's parents invited multiple family members, and his uncle that teaches him all the karate moves that Deku knows. Basically, Deku's uncle being a total black belt of all martial arts. Basically, Deku's uncle, pretty much congratulating Deku. Now, Deku goes to UA the next day, pretty much walking into class 1A. Deku walks into class 1A and sits down. Basically, everybody looks at Deku, and basically they recognize Deku from entrance exams. Some of them recognize him from the entrance exams because Deku was the only corruptless person in that whole entire, entrance exams. So Deku, does get seen and a lot of people know Deku. And basically, some of the kids walk over to Deku and says, more or less, Denki, Jiro, and Momo walk over to Deku and say, "So you're the kid that's quirkless and that got into UA." Denki pretty much saying that you are super cool, bro. You're quirkless, but you still got into UA. Hearing that from the, hearing something else similar to that, somebody else with red hair saying the same exact thing Denki has said. Basically, Deku looking over them, and the kid introduced himself as, Kirishima. So basically, Deku, pretty much talks to them, making small talk, but also flirting a little bit with Jiro and Momo. Basically, them getting it and actually, blushing just a little bit. Now, Deku pretty much actually, doing the end of the thing, Deku actually was able to get Ochako's number. Basically, Ochako walking in the class and pretty much thanking Deku for saving her life. Basically, her hugging Deku and saying that I'm super grateful, blah blah blah. Pretty much Deku saying yeah. Basically, Ochaku thinking that maybe this is gonna be like an actual relationship. So basically, Ochaku sits in her seat and Deku sits in his seat. Basically, Bakugo looking at Deku and Deku giving Bakugo a death stare and Deku getting a death stare from Bakugo back and forth. Eventually, Ozawa walks in the class and explains to the class they're doing quirk assessments. They get outside and Deku's told the ball first guy was he the quirkless person. He's the first quirkless person to get into UA. So Deku gets the first, try. Deku throws the ball about, let's say, this. Yeah, that's how far Deku threw the ball. So yeah. So Deku threw the ball pretty high, or pretty far. So Deku gets a pretty good score. For long jump, Deku jumps over the sand pit with, minimum ease. For the race, Deku gets about, let's say, second place. So for the what was it? For the I think it was for the grip test strength, Deku gets a pretty good score, about fifth place. Oh no, about third place. So Deku gets a pretty good score altogether and gets about second place. So Deku No, so Deku gets third place, and everybody else under him, basically, Ozawa being pretty ashamed of everybody else in the class because they let a quirkless person beat all of them, and basically Ozawa was seeing that Deku was pretty strong. Ozawa technically being some sort of quirkless because he doesn't have any physical quirk that can give him an edge in a fight between somebody that has the same amount of strength as him without, a quirk. So basically Deku does actually get offered to be trained by Ozawa. Ozawa pretty much offers to train Deku in, fighting styles. Deku telling Ozawa that he knows pretty much every fighting style to know, including every martial arts, every boxing skill, and everything else. Ozawa says, can I teach you in, experience? Now, Deku doesn't have that many experience other than just fighting Bakugo's lackeys and also fighting against his uncle that's the top dojo owner in the whole entire state of Japan. Deku pretty much, well, takes Ozawa off his on his offer. Basically, Ozawa, going to teach, Deku a couple of his skills. Deku knowing every martial arts and every boxing, style, but also now knowing the skills and the tactics of Ozawa, but also Deku wanted to learn how to use that scarf Ozawa uses. Now Deku basically, goes back home after the everybody else gets sent back home, and Deku's given, Ozawa's Ozawa's work number, or like, what was it, his work number. So basically Deku walks off, basically getting stopped by his Ochaku, and basically Ochaku asking Deku is already like in an actual relationship. Now basically Deku actually did talk to Ochaku over the phone for about an hour the night before Deku went to UA. So Deku says, let me think about it. And pretty much Ochaku saying, okay, think about it. And pretty much her kissing Deku on the lips and saying bye. Pretty much walking off. Deku, stands there for a couple minutes, but, walks off, pretty much calling a Uber to his house. Because Deku got money like that. So basically Deku drives off to his house, walking to his house. And basically Deku seeing that his, singing career has blown up dramatically. And Deku getting a lot more money than just $200 a week. Now, Deku gets so much money to a point where he can actually buy another house. So Deku does actually, buy another house over the night. So Deku buys another house over the night, buying a mansion near Japan, near the, what was it, in, the Momoyaorodzu residence. The Momoyaorodzu, building or house owning pretty much place, whatever. So Deku, is going to delay that place before Deku's family moves there. Basically, Deku's family actually moving there while Deku's was going to UA slowly. They're not moving, completely, but they're moving slowly towards the other house Deku bought. So, I'm gonna leave it off here, guys. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like. And, guys, it's just gonna be very, it's gonna be a lot more action in part 2. It's gonna be a lot more funnier in part 2. So, yeah, so basically, Deku part 2 is going to mainly focus on how Deku's built different. And basically, yeah. So, see you guys later. Bye. As always, guys, have a blessed